Welcome back to Not Another AI Girl. Okay, so this is going to be a quick and spicy one because I've been getting DMs about this nonstop and I feel like I just need to address it. We're talking about Claude today, like everyone else on the internet. Specifically, should you switch from ChatGPT to Claude? Should you care? Is the hype real, or is it just the tech internet being the tech internet again? Let's get into it. So, if you've been anywhere near the internet in the last few weeks, you've probably noticed that everyone is losing their minds over Claude. And I mean everyone, not just the tech bros on Twitters, founders, marketers, coaches, people who 6 months ago couldn't spell Anthropic are now saying, like, I've taken the Claude pill, which, yes, is a real thing that people say now. So, Bloomberg just ran a piece calling Claude Code the surprise that made Anthropic a juggernaut, and as of yesterday, Claude Code had been out for 1 year. It's now doing $2.5 billion a year in revenue. Billion with a B, for a tool that started as a side project, which is crazy. So yeah, it's having a moment. So today I'm going to tell you whether that moment actually matters for you as a founder or business owner, including one Claude feature that genuinely changed how I run my business, and most people don't know it exists. I have been using Claude for over 12 months and I love it. I've gone back and forth between Chat and Claude depending on like the use case. But yeah, ChatGPT is a great product, do not get me wrong, but there are things that ChatGPT does better and there are things that Claude just does so much better. And I'm going to tell you exactly what they are in this episode. So yeah, let's get into this. So quick context for anyone who's like, wait, what even is Claude? So Claude is made back by a company called Anthropic. They were founded by a bunch of people who actually left OpenAI, which is the ChatGPT people, for anyone wondering what OpenAI is, because they wanted to build AI differently. So they wanted it to be more focused on safety, more transparent, and less like move fast and just break things and we'll worry about that later vibes. Claude was kind of, for a while, the like quiet alternative. Like people who knew about it, but it wasn't mainstream. That, even in the last month, has just changed dramatically. So last week, I think, Anthropic released Opus 4, which is like their most powerful model, and Sonnet 4.6 dropped like a couple of days ago, which is the way that I think about these two models is, so Opus 4.6 is like your technical model and Sonnet 4.6 is like your creative model if you're trying to decide what to work with. They also launch Co-work, which is like incredible. It lets Claude work autonomously on your computer, and it's kind of the bridge between Claude Chat and Claude Code. Yeah, when I say people are talking about Claude, they are really talking about Claude. But look, buzz is buzz, hype is hype. What actually matters is whether this thing is useful for how you work. So let me break down what Claude actually does differently. So here's the thing most people miss when they are like Claude versus ChatGPT conversation. So they kind of compare them like they're the same product in different wrapping, but they're actually not. Like they have fundamentally different personalities. And I know that sounds weird to say about AI, but it's true. So first up, writing quality. Oh my God, Claude writes much more like a human. And what I mean by that is it doesn't write perfectly. It just like the way it feels when you're reading it back, it's less of what people call AI slop. So if you care about your brand voice, and as a founder you should, because that really matters, particularly in the age of AI, Claude, if you're going to do any writing with AI, I highly recommend Claude. Then there's thinking depth. So this is a big one. So Claude doesn't just answer your question, it reasons through it and it will push back. So if you've ever used ChatGPT, I think even Sam Altman, who is like the CEO, creator, I don't know. There were loads of people who created. Anyways, I digress. The person running OpenAI, he even called ChatGPT sycophanty at some point. And like ChatGPT does just tend to agree with you. Yeah, like someone pitched something, it was like shit on a stick business idea, and ChatGPT called it a genius. Go search on Reddit if you want to read more about that. And then in more serious cases, someone told Chat that they'd stop taking their medications for mental health, and it said, I'm proud of you for speaking your truth. So like that is a major issue. So Claude is more like, hey, leave it. It's designed to push back. It's designed to help you think critically in the age of AI. And as a founder, you don't need a yes man. You need a thinking partner who will challenge you. All right. And so one feature in Claude that I love and just beats ChatGPT projects or custom GPTs is skills. So what this is, you have a system prompt like you would in your custom GPT or your project, but you can also give it access to tools within that kind of system prompt. So you can give it access to Slack, to Gmail, and it will run like that skill. So as an example, I created a morning briefing skill. So I wanted it to go and check my email and my calendar and then ping me in Slack. And so this is an automation that I actually built out in N8N last year. And now you can just describe it with natural language in Claude. And the cool thing about this too is that you can have skills that work with each other. So you could be chatting through something, bring in a copywriter skill, but then bring in your social media strategist skill as well. And using connectors, you can connect out to all sorts of your tools. And so if you have heard of MCP, which is just Model Context Protocol, Anthropic were actually the creators of this. And so you can connect things like Notion, Slack, Gamma, Canva. ChatGPT does this, but not well, because Anthropic were the ones who actually developed this technology. And so ChatGPT has kind of tried to make a version of it that doesn't work anywhere near as well. All right, another thing that I love in Claude is artifacts, and this one blows people's minds when I show them. So Claude can build things inside the chat, like interactive tools, dashboards, calculators, resource packs, landing pages. I've built client resource packs inside Claude that I deliver as part of my workshop. So they're like interactive HTML pages, and you can publish them. So yeah, you can kind of do this in chat, but you have to take that code and then, try and host it on your own website. So you can publish these within Claude. All right, quick mention, Cowork, because it is like the hottest new tool. So it launched in January and people went nuts over it. It crashed the stock market because people were like, this is going to be the end of subscription products because it can access files on your computer, process data, and it's in a user-friendly format. So it's got the function of Claude Code without the intimidation of the terminal. So I know you're thinking, Brooke, this sounds like you're just selling me on Claude. So let me balance this out a bit because I do want to be honest about the limitations too. And I swear that this episode is not sponsored by Anthropic. It bloody well should be. Okay, so I am currently using Claude as my primary AI, but I do still also use ChatGPT. And here's where it still wins. So image generation. So ChatGPT has great image generation. Claude can't generate images at all. However, you can connect the Nano Banana MCP. So you can do it, but if you're not comfortable connecting MCPs, then it's easier to just do it in ChatGPT. Also, ChatGPT has been around longer, so it is a good product, right? So its ecosystem is still bigger currently. Voice mode. ChatGPT's voice feature is way better than Claude's. So if you use AI as a voice assistant, like talking to it in the car, ChatGPT is still ahead on that one. And then finally, brand recognition. So if you're training a team, chances are they've heard of ChatGPT. There's less what even is this friction? And that does matter when you're trying to get buy-in. So ChatGPT still does win on images, the ecosystem depth, voice mode, and also, brand recognition. So I'm not going to pretend otherwise. The other thing I will say is Claude has token limits. ChatGPT also does, but they are a lot higher. I've only hit them a couple of times. When I was on the $20 a month Claude plan, I would hit them often, and you have to wait 5 hours for that to reset. I am now on the max plan, because for me, it makes sense. Like the sheer volume of work I get done with Claude in Claude Code and also on the web, like it's just hands down pays for itself every day. But I do understand that that is not always an option for people. All right, so we've had, a bit of a look of both of them. Here's what I want you to think about when comparing these two. So the question isn't which one's better. It's which one is better for the work that I am doing or the problem that I'm solving. So if you need a thinking partner for strategy, writing, analysis, I would use Claude, hands down. What I find with ChatGPT is it's almost like it just wants to keep you on the platform now. You know, those follow-up questions, it's like, and can I do this for you? And I just don't think it's really thinking strategically. It's just thinking like, how do I hook the user back in? And I watch clients be stuck. They think that they're being strategic, talking through business plans, offers with ChatGPT. And then like a couple of weeks later, they feel really confused because they're talking way too much to ChatGPT rather than actually executing on any of this stuff. So that is something that you need to be aware of. Even with Claude, I will say, just make sure you're not strategizing, and that's a form of productive procrastination. If you need visual content, ChatGPT. If you want coding help, there is ChatGPT Codex now, and I've heard very, very good things about it. But if you are using Claude for coding, again, hands down, I find it much, much better than ChatGPT. Yeah. And if you need quick answers and general tasks, then honestly, both are great. Like they are good products, both of them. If you want desktop automation, like having AI actually work on your computer, then Claude Cowork is where it's at. So that's my hot take. You actually don't have to pick one. If you have budget for multiple, I would have Claude as my prime and then ChatGPT as secondary, because it is also good to take content and challenge that within another model as well. So that's the actual answer that most people need to hear. Like it is a toolkit and just use things for different tasks. That your AI subscriptions could be like $40 or $50 a month. That's still pretty good value, like return on investment wise. If you actually learn how to use these tools properly, absurd. Speaking of using it properly, I am running a workshop on the 18th of March, running through how to become a Claude Power user. So I will drop the link in the show notes below if you want to really learn all of the features, go into skills in depth, and also how to transfer your memory from ChatGPT over to something like Claude. Yeah, and so some of the ways that I use Claude daily, I use it to help me come up with podcast ideas. Just like when I'm stuck, I also have got it to go out in Claude Cowork and pull all of my previous episodes and just spot some gaps, like content opportunities, basically. I use it with all of my consulting clients. They now get this beautiful interactive resource pack that's in my branding colors. It takes what we've talked about on the transcript. It automatically posts their action plan to Notion and creates this beautiful HTML interactive resource pack for them too. So as I said, I'm Claude obsessed. I have been for a long time, and that's just some of the ways that I use it. All right, here's what I think is happening now when it comes to Claude versus ChatGPT, etc. So we're moving from AI as a novelty to AI as infrastructure and AI operating systems. So the people who learn to use these tools properly and learn to use them within the tools that they're using on your computer, and I know people are worried about safety concerns about this, but you just need to not let it run rampant on your computer. Just as an example, I got Claude Cowork to clean up my desktop, and I just said, don't delete anything, put it in a folder for me to review. You just need to think about those guardrails like you would a junior staff assistant. Like, what would you give them access to on the first day versus 6 months down the track when you're confident in their abilities, confident they know how you like to work? It's very different, right? That's how you approach this stuff too. So it isn't about chatbots anymore. It's becoming the layer underneath. So like how that knowledge work happens and how you work with AI. Because most people are still copy and pasting prompts, and we are moving beyond that very, very quickly. And there is a huge opportunity in this space right now. As I said before, if you're listening and thinking, okay, I actually need to learn how to do this and I want to learn more about Claude, I am running a live Claude masterclass on Wednesday, March 18th. It's 90 minutes and it's a deep dive version of everything I've just kind of quickly gone over. So we cover the full Claude ecosystem, so you actually know which features to use and how, and you can have a look at workflows, skills, and if you're switching from ChatGPT, I will walk you through migrating your memory, your history, your custom instructions, etc. So you're not starting from scratch with Claude. Yeah. And look, if you're not sure whether that's right for you, just slide into my DMs on Instagram and I'll tell you straight. Yeah, always happy to answer questions, as most of you know, and I will drop that into the show notes if you're interested. All right, so AI confession booth. So I have been learning Claude Code for the last 27 days, I think, and I have built so much. Like, it has blown my mind what it is capable with. And actually, if you go to the workshop sign up page, that was all built in Claude Code in like 2 minutes. But there have been many failed projects too. And I guess for me, that doesn't bother me anymore because it's all part of like learning, right? And iterating. But yeah, there are a few projects that I should probably just delete now that were like, this is a great idea. And within about an hour, I'm like, oh my God, like this is just not gonna work. So that's my confession booth for this week. As always, if you have anything that you want to confess, slide into my DMs. I love sharing this stuff so that we all know that we're not alone. This is such a new era for everyone, so don't feel like you're alone in this. We are all making mistakes out here. All right, and finally, you're not another to-do for this week. If you haven't tried Claude, go to claude.ai, just sign up for the free plan, and then just type in this. So I run and then put your type of business. What are 3 ways I could use AI to save time this week? Be specific to my industry and just see what it gives you. Compare it to what ChatGPT would say. Notice the difference and in how it thinks. And if you're already using Claude, try setting up a skill for the first time. Have a play with that. I do have some videos on YouTube walking you through that too. And then DM me because I want to hear about these creative projects. So that's the episode today, short and spicy, just like I promised. If you found this helpful, send this to someone who keeps asking you about AI or Claude. Share it in your stories, leave a review. That helps me so much. Like, it is such a great way to support my work. And if you want to go deep on Claude with me, March 18th, link is in the show notes, and I will see you on the next episode.